Isekai is a genre that offers a large amount of variety that keeps each series in the genre feeling new and fresh. While most characters that are dropped into another world set off on a journey to be the hero, there is one anime that lets its protagonist walk a different path. A groundbreaking, earth-shattering edition that falls under this example, the Eminence in Shadow. The main character, Sid, has grander ambitions than being celebrated as a hero and seeks to gain a powerful position in the new world he now lives in. From the anime to the manga, this inception is foremost the main roots of both. Although the anime does add original scenes and the lines between the anime and manga do blur a bit, the main plot of the show remains unchanged and for the most part is a faithful adaptation. Season 3 will begin with the follow-on from the movie titled Lost Echoes, where we see Shadow, Beta, and Akane return from Sid's old world. This season will take us back to the Midgar Academy and Sid's two dull background character friends. The mysteries and events of this season begin with the kidnapping of 4 students who are believed by many to be kidnapped by Shadow Garden. In previous seasons, we hardly see Zeta. However, in this one, there will be a bigger focus on her and Sid's relationship. Zeta has been observing the cult since she's returned for the past couple of days and knows the location of the sealed right arm, but not that of the 4 students that went missing. However, Sid predicts a 5th will go missing and leaves Zeta in charge to discover the mystery behind these kidnappings. So the world these people go to is a sort of mirrored dimension filled with ghosts, as we see soon after Alexia tells Sid that Claire, his sister, has gone missing. However, he rubs it off and says she'll come home when she's sick of it, referring to a book where Sid says, "I know it well because I went through the same thing." So he thinks that his sister is chasing some sort of power or conspiracy. We will also see the drama between Delta and Zeta, who fight similar to the inceptions of a cat and dog. So after the squabble between Zeta and Delta, Alexia stumbles upon the aftermath of a huge field being damaged and finds Shadow floating in the air. She thinks that all the damage was Lord Shadow's doing. After putting down her guards in less than a second, he disappears, leaving Alexia stunned, and leaving her with the feeling that there was a sadness about Lord Shadow. Then, Zeta makes a report to Sid that Claire is still on the other side, referring to the other dimension. Soon after, Zeta enters the dimension, just in time to stop the guy who is the culprit of the dimension from attacking Claire. Zeta pushes Claire back into the real world, where she falls on Sid in his classroom. So after everything that's happened to Claire, Alexia has suspicions about her. So after a lengthy conversation with Claire, she reveals everything about Aurora and her inhabitants, and decides to work together with Alexia to uncover the secrets of the cult of Diablos. We will also see an introduction to some new foes, with one of which saying, "Is the magic power absorption going well?" referring to a scientist who is planning on sending Fenrir the Knight of Round's 5th seat to kidnap Claire and Alexia. We will also get to see more of Aurora, the Witch of Calamity's background in forms of memories diverged from Lord Shadow. So after calling the spirit of the restricted tomes, Alexia and Claire try to figure out about this academy and its connection to the demon Diablos. Shortly after, the head librarian warps them into the same dimension that Claire was in earlier, and after a short fight, Sid, or rather Lord Shadow, appears. After Alexia and Claire see him, they figure out that the head librarian has something to do with the cult of Diablos. And as expected, Shadow beats him magnificently and with a certain kind of beauty to his technique. After getting defeated, he talks about Fenrir, and apparently there are fairy tales of him, and he's been around for a very long time due to a drug that gives infinite strength and immortality, which is this drug from previous seasons. The head librarian also admits that the cult wants to revive Diablos, but Shadow Garden is the only obstacle standing in their way. In this season, we will see betrayals of Shadow members, but it's done for Lord Shadow? So, this scene is familiar. We also see these two standing in what seems the same position in an earlier season. So their goal is to resurrect Diablos to help Shadow have eternal life. However, they plan on betraying Shadow Garden for the sake of Shadow. Also, we see Zeta thinking of Shadow saying, "He shall become the god of this new realm." We will also dive in the history of Zeta, where we find out Zeta's tribe are the descendants of the heroes who took down demon Diablos. This was in a form of flashbacks from Zeta's childhood, before she became possessed, and how she became one of the Shadows, and during the time Shadow was still in training, trying to perfect his atomic ability. So Season 2 ended with a lot of focus on the Oriana Kingdom, so this season we will see more, however, not to that length. We see the Oriana Kingdom and the future princess, Rose. Alpha says to her, "Become the queen and win the war. Become queen and declare to the world that the real enemy is the Diablos cult," which means that the Oriana Kingdom will become a front for Shadow Garden. After Rose cut her own hair as a self-promise, she agrees that the Oriana Kingdom will help Shadow Garden fight. So the longest-going theme in this season will be the infiltration of the Midgar Academy. The Midgar Academy gets covered in mist, and Sid says, "The long-awaited sequel to the terrorist raid at school," referring to a previous season when the school got invaded by the fake Shadow Garden. After taking a collar away from a student whose head had blown off, Sid puts the collar on himself to test what it does. It appears the terrorist who's attacking the school is placing collars on people, and it blows up after draining all their mana. So in the midst of all the disaster going on, one of the classmates, Suzuki, says to Alexia and Claire, he has an idea. So this guy is a bit of a mystery as we see him saying, "The Eminence hides behind the mask of a regular student to infiltrate the school and uncover secrets." So his idea is to follow the path of faint mana to the source, which the mana being imitated from the collar. So the spy reveals himself, and it's a student named Isaac. He made a mist like fog with a sweet smell that weakens everyone.
Infinite possibilities now lie before me.
He then tries to inject a serum into Christina, another student, to make her into a named child for Diablos. Before he could get it right, Suzuki breaks out the cuffs and takes down Isaac easily. After helping all the students, he says, "What lies beyond me is a bloody path. If you get too close, you will hurt yourself and become painted with blood too." So this sounds awfully a lot like Lord Shadow. Then they come to the culprit of this whole scenario, the fifth seed of rounds, Fenrir. So this whole plot was to get Claire and Alexia together so he can extract their magic. As we see earlier in the story, that this was the main plot all along. Suzuki then enters the fight with Fenrir, and everyone is shocked because his power is on par with Fenrir and likely even stronger. Then suddenly, he turned into Shadow with everyone being shocked that he was pretending this whole time to be a normal student. Then we see Shadow fighting him magnificently, like he always does in all his fights. We also see Shadow using a new sword style, however this time it involves dragons. And this skill is a secret ultimate one called Atomic Utsusemi. So there isn't a new chapter out yet, however I think this is where the chapter will end as Shadow kills the fifth seed of rounds. So given that Season 3 hasn't been officially been announced, it's 99% likely a Season 3 will happen, although the focus right now is most certainly on the movie. So given the windows at hand, it's likely we will see a release date on the fourth quarter of next year. Well, that's all for now. If you found this info at all insightful, please consider hitting the like button below, and if you'd like to stay up to date with all the popular anime, please consider subscribing. Thanks again, guys, and have a great one.